If you run a service business and you're not positioned for government work yet, right now, you are leaving money on the table. And if it's being picked up by companies that understand how government contracts are actually awarded, well, you're going to want to listen in. See, most business owners overthink government contracts are won by bidding. That only one lane, there's only one way to win a contract, and it's usually the hardest one. So today, I'm going to talk you through 8 ways, 8 real ways contracts are won across state, local, and federal agencies. And as we go, I'll also address some objections I hear every single day so that you can see where this fits for your business. This applies for construction, engineering, IT, consulting, professional services, and other service businesses. And of course, there are contracts for other types of businesses, but this is the area that I specialize in. My name is Melinda Cologne. If we don't know each other, I am a government contracting expert, a consultant, coach, and I help my clients win government contracts. And over the years, since 2020, my clients have achieved over $5.7 billion in contracts. And it's not by luck, and it's definitely not by the lowest bid. It is strategic. It's positioning to win contracts, not just once, but over and over again. And that's really where the value is added to your business. When I talk to business owners who say, I just want to win one contract, what they're signaling is their limited mentality and not seeing the value that they already have. If you've been in business for more than 3 years, which is the majority of our clients, you already have a ton of past performance, or another way of saying past performance is experience delivering services and getting paid for them. And if you have, then comment below, let me know, because what that signals is that you already are positioned to win. You just need to realize it. You just need to acknowledge it. So instead of getting all excited about government contracts and then getting overwhelmed by the paperwork, I want to share with you 8 ways to get in. All right. So the first way contracts are won is through the incumbent contracts and renewals. So the incumbent contracts is meaning that it's already been won, it's already been awarded, and it's up for renewal. These are the long-term contracts, like could be 6 months all the way up to 5, 10 year long contracts. And there is a need, a demand for those services. This can range in IT, cybersecurity, construction, or often the most time when I see the longer contracts. Also, professional services, consulting, if you have a recruiting business, a cleaning business, any service that is constantly in need and demand, oftentimes those services, there are service contracts for that. But that's the first type, is the incumbent contracts and renewals. The renewals is a great opportunity for, let me explain what that means. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, if I'm not an incumbent, if I'm not someone who already has that contract, why would an agency trust me? Like, why would they select me if they already have somebody? And the truth of the matter is, they want to have, these agencies want to have different types of businesses. You never know. They might be saying yes to that company, that small business or mid-sized business, because they're comfortable with them. They don't know anything new. No one has ever showed up and provided a different or differentiator, something unique and different to the way that they do something. I remember speaking to a business owner who owns a cleaning business, and he said to me, well, everybody has a cleaning business. What's different? Like, everybody cleans. You just get there, you clean. And I said, no, the way you clean, how you incorporate the products and your materials and customer service in the culture of your business are ways that you can help differentiate yourself. So after a few minutes, he revealed to me that yeah, we actually don't use a certain type of product. We lean towards these cleaner products. I'm like, well, that's a differentiator. And he says, well, these products are actually ours, and so it's in our benefit to always have the best outcome for our clients. And I said, well, that's a differentiator too. So when you start kind of diving into what makes you unique, what makes you different, that's one of the reasons why they'll select you, because you're different and you're unique. You are fitting more of what they need if you've done your research, right? This is obviously not for every scenario, but the more that you learn about an agency, the better fit. And let's talk a little bit about an agency for a second, because when we talk about government agencies or government contracting, most people think federal is the only way. Well, there's more than a dozen agency types in categories. There are state, local, and education, as well as federal. But in within the state, local, and education arena, there are schools, districts, higher education. There's also airports. There's clerk of court offices, courthouses. I mean, rail systems and transportation. Tollways. There's so many different types of categories of agencies, so it's not just one type. You think yourself, well, there's DOD, there's Department of Defense, or there's the Veteran Affairs, and those are oftentimes the ones that people remember. But there are agencies that are right in your neighborhood that you drive by every day that potentially need your services. So, going back to that example of a cleaning company, when you start thinking about it, how many cleaning opportunities do you have? How many agencies need your services? The school districts, like, where do you send your kids? Where do your neighbors go? Colleges, like public funded colleges, the universities. Where do you go pay your taxes? Where do you go get your driver's license, your driver's tag? Where do you go to, pay your water bill? Like, so there's so many facilities that need cleaning. And it's just about finding out, A, do they have contracts that are renewals? Or and B, can is there another way that you can get in and build relationship? Because you never know. You really just don't know. You want to start building relationship as soon as possible because you just never know. Right now, with the American wealth transfer here in the US, this is the greatest wealth transfer in American history. This will never happen again in our lifetime. There are 38 trillion, not million, not billion, but trillions of dollars in circulation right now, transitioning to different generations from the baby boomers. That's a lot of money. But to also think, where is that money? It's in business. Majority of it is in a business. So those small businesses, those mid-sized businesses, one out of every 10, one out of every 11 are sellable. The other ones, they have to just close shop or continue doing business, or find someone to just continue it for them so that they could retire. Like, that's a lot of opportunity. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for the Department of Transportation for one of the states. And I won't say because that way he doesn't get bombarded. But he said to me, he goes, Melinda, do you know anybody that provides these services? Because our one of our oldest senior seasoned contractors has retired. I don't know what to do. And he says, like year after year, nobody has bid on this contract except for him. And I said, well, tell me more. Tell me about it. And so he told me that it's a landscaping contract for 500,000 a year, and it's the work potentially could take about 10 or 15 minutes a week. And first off, I thought to myself, my gosh, 10, 15 minutes a week, 52 weeks. And he lives in a southern state, which means that, like, well, it's a geographically, it's a southern state with snow. So there's potentially 3 months out of the year the grass doesn't need to get cut. And there's a $500,000 contract, $500,000. Wow. Just wow. Like that just changes the conversation here. So, what we're saying is you just never know when those opportunities are going to arise. You don't want to delay getting your name out there and letting government agencies know you provide services that they need. They're just regular people. They're regular people. And one of the things that I'm doing on this channel and on our podcast, on my podcast, is talking to procurement officers and different agencies to demystify government contracting so you could see that they're just regular people and they're doing a job and they take it seriously because they want to be good citizens, right? They want to be good citizens. They want to make sure that the investments or that they're making, their office is making, is the right and the best one that they can make at the time. So this is going to be really just a transformative year, I believe, for your business if you dial in and you just listen up to what we have to share here. So you want to compete head on. You're position yourself to replace, partner, or come in under them. You see, in government contracting, this is a belief that I have. There really aren't competitors, they're just partners. And the reason why I could say that is I worked for a huge engineering, like huge international engineering firm early in my GovCon journey. And they partnered with another huge engineering firm. And I asked myself why. Like, they're both very talented, highly qualified to handle the contract. And they partnered and they became a joint venture. Now, these are two huge, and when I say huge, I mean they're not just national, they're international. Like they have a location in every continent. Like they're big, right? And they're coupling with another company that's similar to their size. And what they brought as value to that agency was that my company or the company I worked for had something that they were known for. Like they got really good at something. And the other company was really good at the other thing. And so instead of making the agency choose, they decided to partner together and bid as one team. Now they kept their same brand, so it wasn't like this huge overhaul company brand, like, it wasn't like that. They just said it was like ABC plus 1, 2, 3, and that was the JV name. Now the agency was excited because A, you're giving us the best of the best in what we love, and then B, you're making it very easy for me to just make a decision. And that's something that I'd share with you. If you can make it easy for the contracting officer, the procurement officer, the selection committee, make their jobs easier by simplifying and understanding the problem. So if they tell you what the problem is and you respond with your expertise, but don't incorporate their language, it's going to go over their head because it's like, so let me give you an example. In the hospitality industry, in the building side, so commercial construction, commercial real estate, they call hotel. So like a hotel has keys. Like if they have 100 rooms, they're called 100 keys. That's something you probably learned today. So when you use the right terminology and you say 100 keys, now you get it. You understand our industry. You understand what we need. If you said 100 units, they say, what? Like they're not units, right? If you said 100 bedrooms, like they say, no, it's not 100 bedrooms. And so it sounds so simple, But it is one of the biggest challenges that people have when getting into government contracting. They think that they need to show that they're like experts and they know everything. That's not your job. Your job is to show how you, as the expert, get the solution that they need, that you'll consult them through it. If they're using the terminology units, you're going to say units. If they use the terminology rooms, you're going to say rooms. You're not going to say, well, actually, it's keys. Like, why create the friction in your marketing messaging? Like, just simplify it by helping them through that process. You're going to give them the same solution, just in a different package. Agencies like are really under pressure right now to justify performance, even though someone has had that contract before and has won that contract year after year, every term that it comes up for renewal. It doesn't matter. You never know. You never know. So many variables to that. Sometimes it's not the same person who's in that seat, the decision making seat. The ownership of that company might change. The actual performance of their work might change. There's so many variables. So you never want to think to yourself, well, I can't, I don't want to because there's a company there. I have very limited opportunities. No, actually, you have more opportunity because now, instead of going in cold and not knowing what the agency is going to accept, like what the price is, how to propose the work, how to deliver the work, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. You have all. Okay, I think I'm still live. All right, great. Sorry about that, guys. My internet went out for a second. So we were on way two, subcontracting and teaming. Go ahead and put in the chat if this is helpful for you. Go ahead and comment below and give me a this is helpful. Yes, thank you, Melinda. Something to let me know that you enjoy this type of content so that I can continue delivering it for you and helping you in your GovCon journey so you can get unstuck and accelerate. Okay, so way number two, subcontracting and teaming. The second way is, how do I explain it? Is really thinking about subcontracting in a different way. I remember I was hosting a virtual masterclass, gosh, like eight months ago or 10 months ago, and there was somebody there that asked the questions. I don't want to be, I, I don't want to subcontract. And I said, why? I was just really curious. I was like, huh, really interesting. Why is that? Right. And so later on, she told me that she feels like subcontracting is kind of like like, I want to own the contract, is what she said. I want to own I want to be the one who works directly with the owner. And I said to her, I said, well, okay, let's put it into context here. So sometimes subcontractors don't have the ability to speak directly to the client. That's true. And there are some instances where you're brought in as a consultant to the team, to the prime, to deliver the thing which oftentimes you're exposed to the client, to the agency. So it depends, right? Depends on the situation. However, if you're thinking that subcontracting is like a degrading thing, I want to kind of share with you what happens in subcontracting and the benefits. That way, it can kind of help you understand that in addition to be a prime or an owner of the contract, subcontracting is another way for you to win big. And I don't like there's your win rate increases exponentially. You build partnerships, you see the systems internally, because you're just working with a team. So you're just delivering your expertise. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're in and out while you're seeing the back end of how everything works. So it's a great starting point. But as your company builds, when your company brings in more value, you might find that primes will reach out to you to be a sub because you're the expert. So it's not something that, in my opinion, and from the years and years and years of experience of helping other companies win contracts, is that subcontracting is not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. Subcontracting can be something that can unlock a lot of money for you because, so for example, if there are four primes and they're all bidding on, now, for example, if you subcontract with all four primes, you're a sub to all of these four. Someone's got to win. So your win rate is 100%, unless they rebid that contract, right? The client comes out and makes adjustments to that opportunity. Very rare, very rare. It happens, but it's rare. So if you're a sub on all four teams, and only one is going to win, and you're a sub, oh, by chance, then your win rate is 100% for that specific opportunity. You change it from 25%, so because if you're on one team, you're just 25%. If you're on two teams, it's 50%. If it's three teams, it's 75%. And then if it's all four, it's 100%. So you're increasing your win rate by partnership. Subcontracting is a great way to build partnership and also see where the gaps are in business. So if you get, you have primes calling you and asking to sub, well, that's a really good thing. That means, wait a minute, the data, the data points are saying this is a big gap. They can't fulfill this internally. I wonder if we need to be strategic about this. Maybe it comes down to pricing. Maybe it comes down to having direct conversations outside of bidding windows, but with the agency to talk more about what you do, like helping them understand what you do, because maybe they don't fully understand your expertise. So there are so many ways to utilize subcontracting to win. And then teaming. Teaming is it's pretty much similar. So if there's a big organization, big, let's say, a simple one would be like engineering. Okay, so if there's a big engineering firm and they reach out to you, you're an engineering company, but you specialize in structural engineering. Um, well, they would technically be with architects, but so just stick with me. There's different types of engineering, right? So there's structural engineering, there's design engineering, there's IT, there's low voltage, there's so many different forms of engineering. It's kind of like saying project management. It's like there's so many ways like to define project management. And if a company calls you and wants you to team with them, that there's multiple subcontractors. So like they're coming to team, like there's a collaborative effort. You have to be a part of the entire delivery or a majority or a significant portion of the delivery of a project. That is very powerful. It's very, very powerful because now you're exposing your system to the client, but you're also showing your expertise and you're building partnerships with not just one company, so the prime, but you're also building partnership relationships with the other companies, the other teaming partners that are involved in that project. So it's a very powerful thing. So the fourth way, we talked about the two subcontracting. Oh, third way is sole source and set aside awards. I hear people say to me, Linda, I just don't want to submit a proposal. And I'm like, I get it. I totally get it. Have you ever tried sole source? And they say to me, I have no idea what that is. So there's sole source and set asides. So set asides, typically people know set asides for, DEI, like disadvantaged businesses. If you're a women owned, minority owned business, you might have heard set asides before that are affiliated with your certifications, veteran owned. But sole source is that you're going directly to the buyer. Now there are thresholds for the size of the contract. However, even and this is strategy that I tell even my clients who are at eight figures, seven, eight figures, I still give this advice. Sole source is a great way to get your foot in the door because it might be a six-figure contract, right? $100,000 contract. That's okay. $100,000 contract is great, right? That's great. It's just enough to keep a person on your team busy or keep you busy if you're a small business or a solopreneur. And what that does is now you get acclimated to them and they get acclimated to you. So you start building your relationship with John and his best form of communication and when he takes meetings and when he's available. And, you get familiar with the accounting process. So like how to get paid. And so you're getting acclimated to all of it instead of just leaping right into something really big. It's also great for when you want to diversify. So you might be winning contracts, government contracts for, let's say, schools, and you're doing great with your school's district. You're like, I'm killing it, crushing it, Melinda. I'm the go to for engineering, or I'm the go to for IT, whatever that you sell. And you think to yourself, you know what, I'm going to get into airports, right? I'm going to get into airports. Well, sole source is a great way to introduce your business to a new agency because that's like taking your expertise and then just saying, hey, can we have a sit down, like talk through it? Here's, you have something small that we can get started with. Happy to take anything. And boom, you just kind of, there isn't a long-term delay. You're not waiting 3 or 6 months to get a response for an award. It's kind of like a yes or no. And then if there's a yes, you pretty much get an invoice and you start moving, you start taking, doing the work. So it's very similar to private sector work. in that way, um, but just with a government client. Yes, there is a cap to the size of the contracts, but it's a great way to get that past performance in and build a relationship along the way. The fourth way to win a contract is direct awards and micro purchases. So this is very similar to the sole source, where you would still put together some type of package, right, for sole source, but for direct awards, it's a different relationship. And then micro purchases, there's also a threshold as well. Different agencies have different terminology. So they might not all use the same language. Micro purchases is often used on the federal side than the state local side. But they are definitely really like kind of it's kind of like the speed to cash if you want to think about it, especially if you have an essential service. This is one of the reasons why I love service businesses, because if you're a cleaning business, a construction business, an IT business, if you're a coach or a sales speaker, or you help people, really get great at sales, they need your help. They 100% need your help, because the crux of sales is communication, is how can I sell this idea, sell this offer, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a monetary gain, but it could be something like a new program, a new system. Like, how do I communicate the benefits, the value to my staff, right? To my department? How do I talk about this in front of large, departments? So this is something to keep in mind: is how do I take what I already do and offer it to someone who is wanting to pay me for it? That's the key. And what's great is that the state local level conversation is easier to have. So it's just a matter of, in some instances, you can just walk right into their office, sit down and have a conversation and ask them how you can serve them, right? Like, just keep it simple. Very rarely, and I have never, like, of all the years in the conversations that I've had with government agencies on behalf of my clients, I have never, not once, heard in a positive light they like to work with people who do multiple things. And so let me explain what multiple things mean. If you are a construction business and you provide cleaning and you provide sales strategy and you provide, like, it's very rare. Maybe it's typically they want the expert. They want, when I'm speaking to procurement, they tell me, and this is federal, state, local, and education, they're telling me, from my experience, that they want the expert. They don't want the guru, right? And it's very interesting. The guru is great. The gurus are great when they're in a pinch, when they can't find someone to do the work that is an expert, or they can go directly to the expert and work with them. So that's something to keep in mind. The strategy needs to be really, really tight. If you're doing a middleman strategy or brokering, it needs to be really, really, really tight, and understand that you, even as a broker, need to show value. Just because you're a broker and you're providing the value, your company needs to provide value, because your competition is the company that can be the direct business, right? Doesn't have to go through a person. So really think about that. Like, even though you're bringing the expertise, like, how can I show that there's a benefit to going through me? Is it quality control? Is it customer care? Is it consistency? Is it meticulous to detail? Is it culture? Is, like, what is the thing that we are different, and that would make them look at us and say that's a benefit, instead of a like it's working against you. All right, so way number five: relationship influence for procurement. So the fifth way of contracts are won is through relationship influence procurements. This is explaining, like, RFIs, or industry days, conversations. This isn't unethical. Like, this is not unethical. Oftentimes, what's happening right now, especially in technology today, is, and I say today, and I know it's timed, and this is a YouTube video, but the next era, right? the last 5, 10 years and the next 10 years, or plus, right? Or for the rest of my lifetime is technology. They don't know what most of us are just figuring out about AI or automation or systems, right? Like they don't know what SaaS solutions are available to them right now or what they can build for themselves. Like they do have departments, they do have people that are specialized and focused on that. But as someone who is selling to the private sector, see, this is why it's so attractive to work with a company that is doing business already. Because when you're already doing business in the private sector, which is what you're doing now, that becomes the leg up. You're ahead. You could forecast for government. Government's typically behind. So say for example, you're just getting acclimated to AI, right? Your systems are optimized to AI, this, that, and the other. There are, I mean, a significant amount, number of agencies that haven't yet applied AI to any of their systems and processes that are needing it, right? Like I remember making a prediction of, I think it was a year or two ago, about podcasting, how podcasting would be like government contracts would be out there for now. I mean, they're already out, right? So these are things that we've been in podcasting world for years now. It's not new to us. We're in the private side, but public sector, so government, they're getting acclimated to that. Like you sell them the lessons learned because you've been doing it for the last 5 years in your business. What you've experienced with different products, different services, different systems, lessons learned are really valuable to your business when you're talking about how you're going to deliver whatever you deliver, your the outcome, getting them the outcome that they want in your proposal. Incorporating your lessons learned increases your value because they see you say, oh, they're ahead. They're not just regurgitating the same thing that we bought last season. They're giving us what is working right now, which is going to get us ahead, right? Ahead. So consider thinking about it from that perspective when it's you're building relationships with procurement teams is what are they struggling with and how can I bring what's working in the private market, the private sector to the public sector? All right, the sixth way to win government contracts are task orders under contract vehicles. Task orders under contract vehicles. Contract vehicles is one example is an IDIQ, right? An indefinite, oh gosh, I don't remember the acronym right now. But IDIQs are typically vehicles that are used by federal agencies. There are a couple, I've seen it a couple times through the local and state agencies, depending on the funding source. We'll have a whole conversation about funding in a different video. But IDIQs are great because even like what's great about them is that the task orders are similar to just delivering the scope within that order. So instead of thinking like, oh man, I got to do the whole, $100 billion contract. No, a task order within that might be, 10 million, right? So it's way more digestible for your business and it's easier for you to get into, but also tailoring it. So quick strategy for IDIQs or any type of huge contract deals like vehicles that have task orders is to be strategic to position not only for the task order, but to the delivery of the larger contract. So thinking of yourself, if I am providing the services for this task order, I want to do a great job, but also to help them achieve their goal, which is timing, budget, right? Task orders usually have a tight budget because they're associating the entire program to one line item. So like just thinking about it like that. So how can I help them stay within budget? Is there something that I can be cognizant to provide value or to include something that they're going to need later on? Just kind of thinking about it from the buyer's perspective versus, oh, how do I win this contract? Well, you'll be way more successful if you think about what the buyer needs versus what you want. All right, so way number 7, piggyback in cooperative projects or contracts. I don't hear this often from people, which is really interesting. I've done research. I've looked at. I mean, I've asked you guys. I've looked on YouTube. I've gone to different websites and portals and blogs. I've asked my community, like, are you guys doing piggybacks? They're like, I have no idea what that is. So I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. So co-op contracts or piggybacks, co-op contracts or piggybacks is when you win one, it's at the state local end typically. So it's usually like a municipality, like a county or a city that offers these piggyback or co-op contracts. And it's when you win one contract and there is a cooperative, so there's a co-op like gosh, when there's multiple municipalities that come together and say we're going to share vendors. Okay, so we're going to share vendors in our vendor lists. That's like a co-op. And so what happens is you got awarded this one contract from the city, let's say from like uh gosh, for the sake of example, I'm going to just share like the city of Palm Beach, right? So the city of Boca Raton. So the city of, because Palm Beach is a county, so the city of Boca Raton, and you want a contract in the city of Boca Raton, and you notice that they're a part of a co-op. So you look at the list in the co-op; they're listed there, but there's like 12 other municipalities listed there too. Well, as part of the piggyback and this whole intentional form is to share vendors. So once you're in with one, it's kind of like leveraging relationship, right? It's like the referral based kind of relationship. So once you win one, now you could reach out to the rest of the co-op individually and say, "Hey, I'm doing business with the city of Boca Raton. Would you like me to do like do you have a need for this, or this is my price, or this is my contract?" And boom, it's one of it's one of those ways that um doesn't require a proposal for your service business. It is a very, 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 very fast way to win contracts. And I emphasize very fast because you could send an email to each co-op, follow up with a phone call, and have like 3 or 4 from that co-op awarding contracts to you by the end of the week. Like it's fast. It's fast. Now, there is similarly the thing to keep in consideration is oftentimes this is a micro purchase or it is a sole source or something like that because um, they can do a direct payment. They usually have a budget for what you do, kind of like a corporation would have a budget for your services, and so they have a budget for what you do, and so they can't exceed that. Otherwise, they need to go to a public solicitation. So I mean, sometimes they'll tell you. It depends on the person, right? Because these are all people. So it depends. But they might tell you, like, oh, well, my budget is this. Is there any way that we can stay within this? And then you get to negotiate. Well, yeah, absolutely. I can meet that. Or, you know what? I can, but I won't be able to do the X service, or I won't be able to provide this, right? I mean, this is negotiation with any client and just being honest. Here's the thing about pricing. I'm just going to say this and I'm going to move on to 8 is you want to make sure that your pricing is going to make you money. You always want to have pricing that profits, right? Pricing that does not profit. You want a healthy profit, not a 1%, 2%. You want a 10% profit because you never know what's going to happen. You might have to replace an employee. You might have to, put out a fire, in the process of the situation. It's just delivering services to a client. You want to make sure that you're doing it in an easy way, a simple, stress-free way, and not stressed about, I'm not going to make a lot of money, so I can't give a lot of time or effort or energy to this client. No, we don't want that energy here. We want to build long-term relationship. But piggybacks and cooperative contracts are great opportunities for businesses, and typically, if you can, so it's an easy way to look them up. You can actually ask ChatGPT. Just say, hey, is there a cooperative contract or piggyback within my area? And then just put, like, whatever city, state you're in, put the city that you're in, and it'll spit back whether or not there is. And what's great is usually where there's a lot of development, there typically is the piggyback co-op programs. Okay, so way number 8 for winning contracts is competitive open bids. The 8th way is where there's open bids, and you'll see them online. They're not just on sam.gov. There are more than 500,000 contracts that get awarded every year, every 12 months. 500,000, 500,000 contracts more than through this way, not including the other 7 ways that I just mentioned. Okay, so there's a lot of contracts everywhere. It's one of the reasons why, the Henry Fords, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, they won contracts. And just for their business, it's a part of business, right? You see the Elon Musk, and you see the Jeff Bezos, and then you see, the Bill Gates. They're winning contracts too, right? So there are contracts left and right for your business. And one of the things about competitive open biz is that it's basically a way to show differentiation. So show yourself as something unique and different, and also your price, like non-negotiable price. What happens during the competitive bid process are 2 things. There's 2 things that happen. One is, you have to respond to what they're saying they need in the proposal. And then the second thing is, there is no cap on contract size. So, my clients, the largest contract that I've helped my clients win is $1 billion contract, not a million, $1 billion contract. We see a lot. The majority of contracts that we see are in the 10 to 100 million, in that range between 10 and 100 million, because there's so many of them. Like, it's so many of them. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I'm not $1 million business. I can't win a $1 million contract. Well, one of our clients was a 6-figure business that won $1 million contract. One of our clients was a 8-figure business that acquired over $1 billion in 18 months of contracts. One of our clients was a 7-figure business that within 90 days became an 8-figure business. So, do I believe that you could do it? 100% you could do it. You just need these 3 things. I'm going to tell them, you're going to write them down. This is the best part of the entire video. 1, experience. Now, you might think to yourself, if you're new to your business, I don't have any experience. It's okay. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, what can you leverage? If you're watching this video, you have something to leverage, period. 1, experience. Figure out what you have experience in and leverage that. Number 2 is a goal. Like, what is your goal? It can just be one agency client. Like, you just need one client right now. One client could keep you busy for a lifetime because there's so many contracts available. So one client right now. The max would be 4. And I talk about that in the masterclass, but for right now, 1, just get 1. Your city, your county, your state. It could be a federal agency with an office in your locale. Just 1 for right now. So that's 2. So experience, and then client. And then third thing is respond. I just gave you 8 ways to respond. 8 ways. And each and every one of them requires action. You see, I've really thought about giving you like, publishing on YouTube the entire playbook. I've really have thought about it, thought about breaking it out, taking the entire playbook, this thick, voluminous book, and breaking it down on YouTube. I've really thought about it. And the challenge that I have with that, maybe I will do it. I don't know. We'll see. But the challenge that keeps coming into my mind is, will they take action? Because I want to help winners, right? I want to help people that are willing to do the work. You see, all of the information is public record. You can eventually do this on your own without my playbook. It's just because it just works. Like, there are businesses winning without my playbook, and there will be businesses that win without my playbook. It'll just might take a lot longer to do that. So the goal is to take action. So how do you take action? Before you say, I'm going to go look for a solicitation, instead, I want you to do a little something different. I want you to pick up the phone and I want you to call your agency. Oh, it's closed. They're closed, or it's not the right time. Call them. Call them and introduce yourself and get familiar, and to build confidence, but get familiar with having conversation with regular people about what you do. It will reveal so much. It's going to change your life. One conversation will change your life because there's so much information they are wanting to give you. Remember, these contracts are out here for you to win. They want you to win. They are begging you to win, but just being compliant, to being consistent, to showing yourself as an expert, to standing out from your competition, to being priced right strategically, to, those are just basics of business, right? It doesn't matter if you have an online business or an offline, but it doesn't matter. You're doing the same practices in marketing. The only difference is you're putting it together in a proposal. So that's my expertise. That's how I help you. But at the rest of it, just pick up the phone and call one agency. It could be where you send your water bill. It doesn't matter. Just pick up the phone and call one agency. Introduce yourself to the procurement department. So go to their website, go look for purchasing or procurement, doing business with. You'll see a language like this. Call that number and introduce your business. You'll be surprised at what happens, right? Just, hey, I'm looking to do business with you, right? Where do I begin? They will give you what you need in that conversation. It is so empowering. And once you're in that world, I hope that you come back and be like, thank you, right? That's like my own goal, is for you to come back and be like, thank you so much. Like, changed my life. My business is stable. I don't have to worry about all this media jargon about AI and technology and all these things. And my clients, yeah, there's some seasons that I have to chase their invoices, but government contracts are consistent, Melinda. Thank you so much for that consistency and that cash flow that I have, so I can build my business so that I don't have to be the bottleneck of my business. And you help me do that. All right, guys, I am done with the rant, but hopefully this was helpful. These 8 steps, or these 8 ways to win government contracts, because this is how it's getting done every single day. Right now, agencies are spending billions, if not trillions of dollars. And actually, there's more money spent at the state, local level than federal every year, every single year. So right now, agencies are spending money consolidating vendors and choosing long-term partners. Businesses with clear positioning are moving faster than ever, faster than you can ever imagine. And there's so much support in that journey. Businesses waiting for perfect timing are getting left behind. There's no such thing as perfect timing. There's never have and there never will be. It's just fear. So you can move in fear. It's called courage, just taking some courageous steps forward and taking action. Because the best time to position was years ago. The second best time to position to win a government contract is today. All right, guys. Hope this served you and provided you lots of value. I'll see you in the next one.